Welcome back to the Mid Morning Show with myself, Nafisa Dango. That was a very interesting conversation with Dr. Jeremy Nyago about our health and vertigo. Something to definitely go and, should we say, delve more into and learn about it and deal with the situation that we're in. Um, Go talking about situations. We're going to be speaking to Mariam Chebe, who's a certified advanced master mentor, general family and relationship coach. She's also a life and NLP coach and a therapist at the CMHAC. And she's going to be talking to us about mending relationships with family that were broken down by conflict, which I think is so pertinent and important. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you so much for joining me on the show this morning.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and thank you for inviting me.
It's always a pleasure, Mariam, especially when it comes to topics as important as this. It's interesting to see that the types of accolades you have. We want to commend you on it. It's quite a long list of things that you've done.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the topic that we're discussing this morning. And I think it's becoming, should we say, a common issue nowadays, especially with the challenges people are facing. How does one, let's first determine the cause of the conflicts. I suppose that's how we start off. There's many reasons for conflicts and having to be able to deal with those conflicts in order to create a better environment for us as families and creating a better relationship.
Yes. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. We have to start with the quotation of the Quran where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in translation, all mankind, fear your Lord who created you from a single being, and out of it created its mate, and out of the two spread many men and women. Fear Allah, in whose name you demand for rights, and heed the ties of kinship. Surely Allah is ever watchful over you. This is Surah Nisa, chapter 1.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. So, starting with this ayah emphasizes the fact that the family ties are so important in Islam. Not only the family ties, but the relationships of the believers in general. Because as we can see from this ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala starts with, Ya ayyuhan nas, all mankind. Before he addresses the individuals of the family ties, he addresses the whole mankind, that we have to take heed. We have to be aware that we are from one family. We are created from one single being. As we should remember that our forefather is Adam alayhi salam and Hawa radiallahu anha. That is where we all came from. And we should consider each other as one big family. And from that, we have to respect each other's rights. We have to take heed when it comes to our family ties. And it will narrow down to the family ties of the nuclear families or the extended families for that matter.
Right. Let's talk about, a lot of the times when families need to sit down to be able to, focus on the problem at hand and try and come to the necessary solutions. Many times you find that, there's always that defense mode that comes into play. They don't want to sit down and I think what it's about is being able to accept your wrongs. we're human beings. We tend to err at, in many instances. And I think once we determine that, that'll help us be able to move forward, because then we know that we're in the wrong and we acknowledge it. And we want to find a way to fix it. Would you agree with me that that is, I think, one of the ways to start, is to be able to say that, yes, I was in the wrong. I had erred, and I had done this unintentionally. Sometimes we do things unintentionally and not realize that it wasn't the right thing to do. But acknowledging it, I think, is important.
Yes, definitely yes. These are some of the steps that we have to take. And the first one is awareness of the conflict. We have to know that the conflict is existing within the family or a certain relationship. And as you have just mentioned, the acknowledgement of that conflict, of that problem. And after acknowledging this problem, you've got to source. What is the source root? What is the root source of this? What is causing this problem? So that we can be able to look for an approach that is suitable to solve this problem in a polite, civil manner.
Especially now, and I'm sure you'll agree with me, Sister Mariam, with COVID-19, the types of challenges people have been facing have become 100-fold worse from the initial challenges that they had. And I think what happens is that frustration level comes in, and eventually what happens, people start bottling things up, and then there's these outbursts because they don't know how to deal with the situation at hand. What sort of advice would you give them? Would you say, sit down, write down everything that you're going through, all the challenges that you're facing, and try sorting it out one step at a time? Because as we know, people are not, at this point in time, are not dealing with just one particular challenge or situation as such.
Yes, definitely. Documenting the problem is one of the most important means of solving them. And as you have just mentioned, it also directs the people on which problem has to be solved first and which one has to come after. So it is important that a person who feels heard, that he or she writes down the problem that she or he is facing and approaches the person who he or she feels that is causing that problem, and both they have to agree in a mutual manner that they have to sit down and try to solve the problem. As I mentioned earlier, it's just a matter of looking at the root source of the problem. Because sometimes you might think that a person is a problem, yet there are some underlying problems that are leading to that current problem that people are facing. So it's important to take those steps.
And that's where the word communication comes in. Many a times, I think that's what causes the biggest problem, is the loss in communication, the misunderstandings and the misconceptions that are created due to non-communication.
Definitely.
Okay,
Definitely,
so
yes.
I'm going to wait for your response. Let's go for a quick ad break, and then we'll come back to that.
All right, thank you.
DusiMed Medicine Depot Retail Pharmacy and Emergency Medical Depot, conveniently situated in the DusiMed Medical Center, Corner Burger and Bosel Street, Pietermaritzburg. We provide safe, affordable and convenient medical facilities, open till 10 p.m. every day of the year. We have a full house clinic that operates from 2 p.m. to 7 p.m., which is run by a qualified sister. The clinic offers immunization, vaccination, wellness, general consultation, and more. Call DusiMed Medicine Depot on 033 3421 DusiMed Medicine Depot, your pharmacy of choice.
Durban, KwaZulu-Natal has been the hardest hit by the recent civil unrest. Hundreds of supermarkets, factories and warehouses have been looted and destroyed. Thousands have lost their jobs and are in need of food and household supplies. Penny Appeal South Africa is currently on the ground working with communities to provide essential items to those severely affected. Donate toward the Penny Appeal Hardship Fund today and assist us in caring for families for a 3-month period with essentials and assistance to small businesses affected by the devastating effects of the unrest. Help us help our city. www.pennyappeal.org.za or call 031 11 573. Penny Appeal. Small change, big difference.
What makes Randery Jewelers the optimum place for your memorable gift? Is it our range of exclusive, high-end, luxurious jewellery? Or is it our master craftsmanship of all your bespoke jewellery needs? We believe it's because at Randery Jewelers, we know just how to make your special moments last forever. Whether it's for a wedding, anniversary, or just a simple gift to show your love, trust Randery Jewelers to make it special. www.randeryjewelers.com. Make your moments last forever with Randery Jewelers, the family name you can trust.
Osman's Taj Mahal Spice and Rice. For over 80 years, Osman's Taj Mahal have been perfecting the art of the perfect blend of spices, pure, aromatic, and well-seasoned. Spices to tantalize your taste buds. From creative cuisines to gastronomical gourmet goodies, from exotic odors to traditional dishes, Osman's Taj Mahal have remained synonymous with quality spices and condiments. Taj Mahal rice, beans, and lentils. Try our range of chili bite mixes, rose and ilachi syrup, our quick and easy biryani pack, and our traditional range of spice blends. Osman's Taj Mahal. There is no substitute for quality.
Africa. For your convenience, the Africa Muslims Agency's Durban office has moved to 797 Jan Smuts Highway, Sherwood, Durban. Our friendly staff are eagerly awaiting to receive, advise, and share with you the current ongoing campaigns and projects that you have been supporting for the last 35 years. Visit us at 797 Jan Smuts Highway, Sherwood, or call 031 207 5676. Africa Muslims Agency, inspiring the spirit of giving.
Rejuvenating media day by day. This is Salam Media.
Welcome back, and we're in conversation with Sister Mariam Chebe talking about mending relationships with family. Welcome back to the show. Before we left, we spoke about the word communication. And as I said, a lot of the times what happens is it's the non-communication, the breaking communication that a lot of the time is the root problem to many situations that are taking place in households at this moment. Sister Mariam, are you on the line?
With communication can either build the relationship or destroy it. And how does it build the relationship? It builds it in a way that when the people involved in that relationship are able to effectively communicate to each other. And of course, the opposite will give a different result, where the people in that particular relationship are not effectively in communication and they don't talk to each other. They bottle up the problems or the conflicts that they have towards each other. And that definitely will give the problem to the people involved in such a relationship.
And a lot of the times, Mariam, it would be also where, people are not compromising. That they don't understand that it's give and take. It's not just about take. In many instances, you find that there are people that are wanting only their way and their way only. And that, of course, also does not solve the problems and the situations that they're faced with. Whereas they have to sit down as a collated family and find the necessary solutions to the issues at hand.
Yes, definitely. So it is an imperative as well for people to learn how to compromise in relationships. So this is in order to accommodate other people's point of view, to accommodate other people's feelings, and also to try to understand where they come from in order for them to mutually agree on a particular point. And sometimes you might find that it's not the matter of agreeing on everything. This is why compromise comes in. Sometimes you've got to try to put aside your own opinions, your own feelings, in order to accommodate another person for the sake of peace.
I agree with you there. Let's talk about the negativity Sorry about that. A lot of the times you find that people that look at things in a negative way don't actually help with the communication break, because they see things that way and that way only. And that, and then the blame game starts. They say there's that word narcissist. You have people that are not willing to accept their wrongs, and then try and solve the problem by facing the wrongs. How do you deal with people like that? Because a lot of those kinds of people are very stubborn, they're adamant, they don't want to see things in the light, the true reality that they're facing with, but rather in the light that they see things.
And there are different ways of dealing with such people. First of all, as I mentioned earlier, is the matter of a person who is faced with that difficulty to understand where these people came from. Because time is not the matter of overnight change of that particular person. The person has to go through the steps of changes in order for him or her to change to be a better person, in order to be in the position of accommodating other people. So how does it work? It works oppositely, in a way that the person who is affected is the one who has to compromise, who has to empathize with that particular person in order to understand, where does this person come from, why this person is doing this, how can I put myself in a position where I will be able to try to tolerate the behavior of this person for a particular time. And this is because such behaviors also have to be taken care of. For example, they have to approach the professional help in this matter. People like the counselors, the psychologists, the therapists, in order to help the person who is in that kind of a situation, because not everybody knows that if he or she is in that position that is making other people feel unease. Understand? So either a person who is affected talks to that person in a polite manner, and if that person is not approachable by the affected person or by a victim, is just to seek the professional help.
I agree with you there, because in many instances, this is what happens. People are not willing to accept, and especially narcissists. I mean, it always turns to that blame game where they turn the table on actually, like you were saying, the victim, and where there's then of course the conflict gets worse and there's no resolution to it. So bringing, I think, a professional in would be the ideology of it, because what would happen is a professional is more of a neutral party. And coming from a neutral party, it won't look as though it's biased, as though you're trying to bring them down and making them look as though they don't have any value to themselves, but just making them understand where their wrongs are and how they can better themselves as people.
Yes, definitely.
I think that is the way we can deal with that, aspect of that particular situation. And I think many people find themselves in those negative situations. They say also, making time to get in touch with each other, because what happens is, should we say, especially now through COVID-19, we've lost communication, connection. There's three words that I always use: is retrospect, reconnect, and and it's important, because we're not reconnecting with each other. We're not making that time to reconnect with each other due to the COVID situation. Then unfortunately it's circumstances, but it's having to, and I'm sure you would agree with me, is having to adapt. In certain instances, we need to understand that there are different ways for us to be able to communicate, maybe via video calling or telephone and things like that, to be able to still keep in touch with each other, but to also be able to understand the type of circumstance we're in. And many a time, I think that also causes misconceptions and conflict, because people think, You don't want to be in tap with them, but not realizing that there is an unforeseen circumstance that has prevailed, that has stopped us from doing that.
Yes. The problem of COVID-19, there is no doubt that it has brought a broader problem to the relationship of the people. But however, people have to be in the position of understanding that due to COVID-19, the communication or the connection has been limited. That's the first point. It doesn't mean that when a person doesn't connect with you or doesn't visit you or doesn't come to you as often as it was before, that particular person doesn't like you. So it has to just start from there. We are under the COVID-19 pandemic, and these are the situations that we find ourselves in. So if each and every person in a circle of that particular relationship understands that at first, then it will be part of the bigger solution to the problem. The second thing, of course, people shouldn't just cut the connections totally. They've got to connect each other through the social medias, through the telephonic ways, and all those kinds of technology ways that are provided for us. It doesn't mean that when we don't meet socially, then we cannot meet otherwise.
Right.
It's not like before when people had to write letters and then they had to go through the post and they take some months or something like that. It's just a minute, just a telephone away. So people have to try to use these technologies to reach out to their relatives in order to keep the connection.
And also having to understand that it's a two-way thing. It's a two-way relationship, that the effort has to come from both parties, not from one.
Definitely. It has to be like that, because if the other person doesn't feel loved or doesn't feel cared for, will reduce. You understand? So definitely, it has to be two-way thing. Hence, sometimes it's important to just have a family meeting on a social platform where maybe the elders of the family address the issues of this nature. That no one should feel outside, no one should feel unwanted. Anybody at any time, as long as it's suitable to connect with the others, should do so.
That is very true. I agree with you. What do you think is the most important, should we say, pointers people need to know about sorting out these issues as far as relationships are concerned?
About what?
How do you think is the most important thing that people should know about solving these problems that we try to resolve in relationships, besides the communication and the having to chat to each other? What else do you think makes it so important?
Yeah, so some of the things are, for example, to initiate a friendly and polite dialogue among the people involved in their relationship, to be clear about the intention. They shouldn't let other people to expect what is on their mind or to read what is on the mind. They've got to freely seek out issues. You understand? So they've got to also build a bridge and get over things. This means that whatever happened in the past, they should just leave them there in the past. They shouldn't carry their past to the future. That will complicate things. Another thing, they've got to be honest to each other. They've got to have that thing of apologizing to each other if they have wronged each other. So
that's where my next question comes in. A lot of people tend to understand that there are some people that are in their relationships that are very toxic for their relationships. What advice would you give them?
The people who are toxic.
Yes, you find many people like in a relationship or in family environments, they're very toxic for the relationship because every single time that they come into that relationship, there's nothing but mayhem that has been caused. What advice would you give to those victims?
Yeah, so as I've advised earlier, is a similar question. It's the matter of it is better for a person to rescue herself or himself before he or she tries to rescue another person. What does this mean? It means that the person who is a victim, who is affected, should try to understand where does this person come from, why this person is abusive, why this person is toxic, what are the underlying reasons, issues that this person is going through. Because once a victim understands that, it will be easier for that victim to go along with this person and perhaps be in the position of helping that person come out of that issue.
As you were saying earlier, by getting some professional help, and I think that's the better option because, as we were saying earlier, neutral people. People like this understand neutral people better because it doesn't look as though you're taking a particular side or you're being biased with the situation.
Yes, definitely.
What last words would you like and advices would you like to leave us with this morning?
So the advice is, first of all, we should try to consider this the ayah that I quoted at the beginning, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addresses all the mankind, that we have to fear him when it comes to the relations or the kinship. We have to fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We should consider and always remember that we are one big family. We should try to keep that relationship intact at all the time. We should always try to be positive, speak, think, and do positive things, and be good to each other, to empathize and understand why other people are doing the things that they are doing, and to try to help them get professional help in order for them to come out of those solutions so that the relationships of the people can move on smoothly without any problems, inshallah.
Jazakallah, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking out the time and having this very important, relevant discussion with us. I think it shed a light on many things and helped people realize that there are ways to solve these issues. Thank you so much, Jazakallah, for the time. And do stay safe, Sister Mariam.
You're welcome.
Take care. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Sister Mariam Chebe talking to us about mending relationships with family. And I think that was a really important discussion. Stay with us. So are we going for a quick ad break? We'll be back with you in a sec.